JJ mates, and welcome back to the channel. Today we're diving into one of history's most bizarre and frankly hilarious conflicts. We're talking about the time the Australian military declared war on a flock of flightless birds ... and lost. This is the story of the Great Emu War of 1932. Imagine this. It's post-World War I Australia. Soldiers have returned home, becoming farmers in Western Australia, hoping for a peaceful life. But their new enemy wasn't a foreign power. It was a 20,000-strong army of ... emus. That's right, giant, feathered, and very, very hungry birds. These emus, migrating after their breeding season, discovered a delightful all-you-can-eat buffet in the form of wheat crops. They were tearing through farmland, destroying livelihoods and leaving a trail of agricultural chaos in their wake. The farmers were desperate. They'd tried everything, but the emu invasion was relentless. So they did what any reasonable person would do when faced with an avian apocalypse. They called in the army. Yes, you heard that correctly. A delegation of ex-soldiers approached the Minister of Defence, Sir George Pearce, and requested military assistance. The plan: deploy soldiers armed with Lewis machine guns to wage war on the emus. It sounds like a joke, but it was a very real and very serious proposal. The military agreed. Major GPW Meredith of the Royal Australian Artillery was put in command of this peculiar operation. With 2 soldiers and 2 machine guns, they set out to face the feathered horde. On paper, it was a mismatch. Heavily armed soldiers versus big dumb birds. What could possibly go wrong? As it turns out, everything. The first engagement was a total disaster. The soldiers spotted a group of about 50 emus and opened fire. But these weren't just any birds. The emus proved to be surprisingly brilliant tacticians. As soon as the guns started rattling, they scattered in all directions, making them incredibly difficult targets. After firing hundreds of rounds, the soldiers had only managed to take down a handful of them. The emus were faster and smarter than anyone had anticipated. Major Meredith himself was astounded. He noted that the emus seemed to have leaders, with one large black-plumed bird watching over its flock and giving a signal to scatter when danger approached. He remarked, "If we had a military division with the bullet-carrying capacity of these birds, it would face any army in the world." The emus were like feathered tanks. They could take multiple hits and just keep running. The media, both in Australia and internationally, had a field day. Headlines gleefully reported on the army's failure. It became a global laughingstock. Birds 1, Army 0. The military's attempts grew more desperate and more comical. In one instance, they mounted a machine gun on a truck to chase the emus down. But the ride was so bumpy they couldn't land a single shot, and the truck ended up crashing through a fence. The emus, meanwhile, ran off completely unharmed. After about a week of this humiliating failure and nearly 2,500 rounds fired for very few kills, the military operation was called off. The soldiers withdrew. Defeated, the emus had officially won the war. A second attempt was made later, which was slightly more successful, but the damage to the army's pride was already done. So, what can we learn from this feathered fiasco? The Great Emu War is a perfect, almost cartoonish, example of the limits of human technology when faced with the sheer unpredictability of nature. It showed that brute force isn't always the answer. Ultimately, the government realized that waging war on wildlife was ineffective and absurdly expensive. Instead, they shifted focus to more practical solutions like building stronger fences and implementing a bounty system, which proved to be far more successful in controlling the emu population over time. The Great Emu War remains a quirky but important footnote in Australian history, a humbling reminder that sometimes the most unexpected opponents can deliver the most surprising defeats, and it proves that you should never, ever underestimate an emu. Thanks for sticking around for this wild story. If you enjoyed this trip into history's weirdest corners, make sure to hit that like button and subscribe for more content. Drop a comment below with any other bizarre historical events you'd like me to cover. See you in the next one.